In the still hush between heartbeats, they stepped through. Did Annie, Tiko, Lala, and Mr. Scribbles emerged into a world stitched from stories, an endless library where time itself seemed to breathe. Books drifted in mid-air, whispering forgotten tales. Shadows curled between the shelves, watching. Every step forward was a step deeper into the unknown, and every breath carried the scent of unread pages. This was no ordinary library. This was where stories went to sleep. The shelves moved, not by wind, not by touch, but as if the library itself was breathing. Every whisper echoed like a heartbeat through the books, through the walls, through them. One page floated down and whispered what no one wanted to hear, the end. They didn't need to be opened. The books were reading themselves, one by one. Their final lines drifted into the air, stories breathing out their last words, like sighs. Lala hovered near. Her glow dimmed in the presence of so many endings, but every sentence felt heavier than the last, like the stories weren't just ending, they were being sealed shut. From the mountain of stories, something stirred. A figure, skeletal and silent, rose from the tomes themselves, not a guardian, a judge at the end. In that moment, they realized this library didn't just hold stories, it decided how they ended. His hand hovered, and the scroll obeyed. Letters burned themselves into the air, not written, commanded. No story may change once sealed. The rule wasn't spoken. It was lodged into the very fabric of the library, and in that silence, they understood. Stories here weren't free, they were final. Among countless pedestals, one glowed differently. A single book twitched just once as if it knew they were watching. Mr. Scribbles' hand moved on its own. The lines weren't planned. They were pulled. Firelight flickered beneath the cover. But this wasn't warmth, it was warning. Some stories don't want to be opened. It moved not by hand, but by will. The book opened halfway, just enough to let something out. Orange flames curled behind the words. Not ink, not story. Something burning from within. In a place so cold, fire meant danger. The story wasn't waiting to be read. It was trying to escape. She didn't touch the book, but it knew her. Her name shimmered across the page, and then began to change. Lines of light lifted from the ink, curling through the air, reaching toward her heart. It wasn't just a story anymore, it was hers. But every word it rewrote her too. The library shook as his staff struck the ground. His voice cut through the silence, ancient, cold. Final, you are not the author here. But Annie didn't back away. The book knew her name. The story had already begun to change, and for the first time, someone dared to rewrite fate. The book exploded open, not with fire, but with fury. Pages tore themselves loose, swirling in chaos, a storm of untold endings. The words twisted, reshaped, fighting to be something else, something new. This wasn't just a story being read, it was a story refusing to end, and it was choosing who would write it next. While the world cracked, Mr. Scribbles drew. A quill, not bound by rules, not held by fear. It hovered and wrote in the air itself. Stories can grow in a place ruled by endings. He wrote a beginning. This wasn't rebellion, this was creation. While the quill wrote light, back up Tiko dove into the dark. He cracked open the index, a console of pure story code. Symbols streamed across the air. Shelves blinked, titles glitched. The library didn't like being hacked, but Tiko didn't stop. He wasn't just a backup, he was their firewall, their decoder, their key, and with every keystroke, the story bent toward freedom. In the heart of the storm, Lala sang, not loud, not grand, just true. Her glow throbbed with every note, a melody of courage wrapped in light. And where there had been chaos, there was calm, because even in a library of endings, one clear voice can begin again. Something broke, not with anger, but with memory, a laugh. Long buried, bright and small, lit the darkness behind his eyes. For a moment, he wasn't the keeper of endings. He was someone who had once been loved, and in that flicker, the story he'd forgotten began to remember him. It started with a flicker, a title changing, then another, final lines vanished, erased not in silence, but in song. New chapters wrote themselves into being, not from fate, not from fear, but from choice. The library, for so long a tomb of endings, was becoming a garden of beginnings, and for the first time, it breathed with hope. All around them, the stories shifted, but one book remained, its fire faded, its rage spent, and there it was, a final page, blank. A single quill hovered, waiting, not to end the story, but to begin the one no one else could write. He turned slowly, as if the weight of time itself pulled his bones. All stories had settled, all but one. He looked at her, not as a keeper, but as if he knew yours is missing an ending. And just like that, the final page belonged to her. She stood, not at the end of a story, but at the edge of possibility. The final page waited, unwritten, unbound, and as her shadow touched the light, a new chapter stirred beneath her fingertips. To be continued.